In this video, I want to share with you 3 simple fixes we put in place for over 70 different fitness studios that resulted in more leads booking appointments and showing up for their appointments. Now, something we realized when auditing a bunch of gyms and fitness studios marketing systems is you realize that these things were most of the time missing. And this resulted in reduction in bookings, reduction in show up rates. And so we're seeing averages across the board at around 20, 25% bookings and show ups less than 50%. And so what I'm going to do in this video is show you exactly how you can increase the quality of your leads to make sure you're filtering out any of the low quality tire kicking leads that aren't going to be a quality prospect that you would even want in your studio in the first place. I'm also going to talk about how to maximize your lead follow-up to convert more leads into actual visitors. Okay, we manage over 70 different accounts where we're actively following up for them. And so we have all this data that we can go through to show you exactly what things work and what don't work when it comes to follow-up. The last thing I'm going to show you is one simple change we made across the board in all of our accounts where we saw an increase in bookings from 25 to 50% and show-ups from 50% up to around 90% with one simple fix. Number 1, fixing your lead quality will fix your booking and show up rates. Okay, and so there's 4 main ways that we can improve the quality of our leads while running ads. Number 1 is going to be creative style testing. Okay, I'm talking about the difference between running, like a Canva style image that doesn't really represent the brand, that might be a little bit congruent, versus running like in studio ads where people are actively working out in class, having an image of, a group photo, things like that can make a drastic difference on lead quality. Next is going to be actually the audience that we're targeting. And so a lot of cases, what Facebook will do is it'll accidentally get stuck in a pocket of people. Problem is if Facebook's optimizing for leads and it's just constantly acquiring the same types of leads because it thinks that's the best contact. However, the quality is just not right and just doesn't fit with your studio. That's going to cause you to get more and more of those style of leads. And so when we do some audience tests, we can actually change the pocket of people that Facebook is targeting, and that can usually help improve the quality of prospects. Okay, the next thing that we can do is add friction. And so a regular form people fill out is just going to have name, email, and phone number. And so what we can do is add another couple steps in order to give them more things to have to do in order to get the offer that you're going to give them. By doing this, you're going to filter out anybody who is just basically spamming on ads and filling out and opting and all that stuff, and only allow the quality prospects to come through the filter. And then the last way that we can actually optimize is by changing out the offers. And so if you're constantly running these free offers, you are going to attract a lot more volume, but the quality of those prospects is going to be a lot worse. And so I wanted to show you an example here of each of these different phases that you can roll out in terms of testing. And so let me just go through and pull out some examples here of this account. And so what we did with this account is we first and foremost ran some offer tests to figure out, what offer is going to do best in the location. Then we ran this style of ad, okay? And you'll notice here it had 110 leads for $6, which is really good. The only problem with this ad was although it was getting a lot of social proof and it was doing really well, it wasn't getting the quality of prospects that we needed, okay? We also had this other style of ad that was running here. Oops, let me pull this up, which was a Canva style image as well, but it was bringing in the wrong type of prospect. Okay, our booking rate was closer to 20, 25%. And so all we did to make a change and actually improve the system is we moved over into a difference of creatives. And so this is the first thing that you can do is plan to try different creative styles. You'll see here we are back to running some Canva images because their booking percentages and their stats on the back end with this particular Canva image is a lot better. And so when we originally ran a test, we changed over to some of these video styles over here, video style, ad here, and our booking rate and the pocket of people that were getting the ads started to improve quite drastically. And so by doing so, it's almost like Facebook started finding a different collection of people and started to realize like the leads that, the studio wanted was those types of prospects. And now for whatever reason, this Canva image that is kind of similar to the other ones is doing a lot better now. And so what you can do to improve the quality is you want to make adjustments to your creative styles and figure out which ones are actually bringing in the right prospects. Okay, that one image I showed you was like this one. Okay, we reran a test of this one in a new audience to see if it would do better, and it still did pretty poor in comparison. However, similar kind of style Canva image. This one instead, it just doesn't have, a lady in it squatting. This one did a lot better, okay? And the booking rate and the show up rates on the back end were a lot higher. And so just by making these changes and tweaking the different styles of creatives, we were able to actually improve the bookings on the back end. And we changed nothing else, okay? And so that's the first thing I would look at testing, is try some different styles of creatives that might be more in line with the ideal prospect who's going to come through your studio. And then make sure also you are tracking things like booking rate, show up rate, and response rate, so that you can make sure you know exactly what's happening in each of the individual ads that are running. Okay, the next thing that you can do is run an audience test. And so there's something called pocket theory in Facebook, where essentially as more leads come through, Facebook can get stuck in a pocket of people. If those people are, bad quality leads, then Facebook's kind of stuck in this target range, and it's just constantly trying to get you more of these people because it thinks those are the people you want because you're optimizing for leads. Problem is, you don't want those people. And so by changing the audience, we can basically create new subsets of pockets of people to target that's going to help us, improve the results on the back end. So you can see here, we ran a bunch of these different audience tests here. In specific, it was these three actually: radius, interest, income, and blanket targeting. And so these were the main tests that we did. So radius interest, that's basically targeting specifically for physical fitness. And so if I go into this, scroll down to interests, you'll see that we were targeting CrossFit, health and wellness, physical fitness, or health clubs. So that was the targeting one that we were testing. And we tested against income. So if I scroll down here, the detailed targeting was household income above 50% is essentially what this includes. And so we wanted to see maybe if we're targeting higher income, we're going to get better quality prospects. And then we just basically did it against the blanket targeting. And out of the results here, blanket targeting did the best, and blanket targeting is just a 5-mile radius around the location. And in terms of stats, bookings, show ups, it was the best performing audience. And after running this audience test, it actually made a drastic impact to our booking rates on the back end. I think we're closer now to 50%, whereas before we were around 25-30%. And so just by switching out the audience, it made a big difference in our stats. Now, the last thing that you can do, or the second last thing, I guess, in this case, is going to be adding friction. Okay. And so let's show an example here of the current form that we have running. And I'll show you a couple things that you can do. And so right now, it's just a basic form here. They fill out their information here. And this is all they're filling out right now in this ad. And so what we can do, if our quality is really becoming a problem, is we can add a few steps. And so the first step that I like to test is whether or not a high intent form could be better. And so if you look at the form type here, this is running a lead ad. You can see that there's 3 options here. And so what we can do is we can actually add this higher intent step here and basically stop this one. And so what this one does is it basically adds this step here, which is a review screen. And so rather than them just being able to put in their information and it opting them in, they actually have to give the information and then confirm their information on this page. So that's the first friction test I would add, is adding something like this, whereby they actually have to confirm the opt-in. The next thing you can do, if that's not really making a difference, is you can add a question. Okay, it could be a simple, short, multiple choice question. It could be, just let's just add one here. Short answer. It could be, are you willing to invest in your health? Could be as simple as that, right? Doesn't have to be complicated, but all we're doing is adding more friction so that only serious people who are going to fill out these questions are going to come through. Now, full disclosure, the more friction you add, the higher your costs are going to be to acquire a lead. And so just keep that in mind. You want to find a balance in a sweet spot. So if there's one question in particular, if you get the answer to, you'll know if they're a good fit or a bad fit. You want to include that question in here if you're looking at trying to improve the quality of your leads. Okay. And then the last thing that you can do is, rather than running free programs or, free 6-week challenges or things like that, try different offers. Okay. And so something that we like to do is run an offer testing process. It's something we did at this location. You can see these 3 different tests up here. We ran a 10-day program, a 14-day, and a 15-day. We compared them all against each other to figure out which one was going to get the best results. And it just so happened that the 14-day core restore was the winner here. It is a $14 paid promotion. And just by having that $14 payment, versus having it for free, we see a pretty large increase in the quality of their leads, which helps with bookings and show ups on the back end. Step number 2, follow-up optimizations to improve bookings and show up rates. Okay, so I wanted to show you this quickly because last year, here's a client from February 1st to December 31st in 2023. They had roughly 1,100 leads here, 95% response rate, 84.7% booking rate, and look at this show up rate, 98%. Okay. And so we have about 70 other studios where we're managing their follow-up. This client in particular has a process in place on the back end for personalization. Okay. Everybody who has an appointment gets a phone call before it. And the system in place for actually following is a lot more personalized. Okay. And there's 3 major components, or 4 in particular, that are going to help with your follow-up processes. And so number 1 is going to be making sure you have a re-engagement follow-up process. And so what that means is essentially when a lead stops communicating, if they're in a conversation with you, you need a way to get back in front of them so you can continue the conversation. The amount of times I see people fall through the cracks in a follow-up process because they're having a conversation, they're in the middle of booking them, and then that contact forgets to reply, and then they're gone. They're just lost. And so we need a way to re-engage those contacts. And so I'm going to show you a little system here to do that. Next is going to be speed to lead. Okay. How quickly are you actually replying to your leads? If you can get it down to 1 to 2 minutes, you're going to get results similar to this, where you can actually get bookings because you're following up in that time. Okay. Our team is managing their follow-up, and we average about 1 to 2 minutes in response times, which allows us to make sure that if somebody's on their phone ready to, reply, we're there to have that conversation with them right when they need it. Okay. And then the next thing is going to be personalization elements. And so that can be sending pictures of your team, who's going to meet them in the appointment, showcasing, your classes, results, testimonials, things like that in your actual follow-up process. Okay. That's going to make a massive difference in the back-end results when getting bookings and show-up rates. Okay. And then the last thing is proper questioning. The amount of times I see people send their entire schedule to leads, it's too much information. We need to have a structured approach whereby we're asking, maybe 1 to 2 questions in a message, specifically only giving 2 options when we're asking them to book an appointment. And that way we can make it very simple and very frictionless for these people to book appointments and come into the studio. So let's go through some of the details of what they're doing. So I'll go into our new template account that has a drip campaign that re-engages leads. And so the best thing that you can do, now depending on the CRM system that you're utilizing, this is high level here, but I'll give you a brief idea of what it looks like. Okay. And so what I have in place here is just a general follow-up system. And so this is just going to be, messages go out, simple question. Hi there, Sophia from location name. Is this contact first name? And so we're just a simple question at first, double checking to make sure and confirm that we have the right contact. Once they reply, or if they do not reply, we send another message saying, hey, did you sign up for, this specific offer? I just want to make sure I have the right number. Okay. If they don't reply, we have all these other messages. Here's a really big trick that you can utilize. And so you can see here in this follow-up message here, we actually have an error, and it sends instructor all spelt wrong. And we do this on purpose because when we send a message with a mistake and then correct it a minute later, it makes it feel a lot more real and unlike a bot. And so anybody who, might think it's an AI that's responding to them, when you do this, it actually, improves the likelihood that they're going to reply because they think it's an actual person. So you see here, we have a message that sends a minute after that just corrects the message. It just says instructor. Okay. And that way they're like, oh, like this is a real person. Like what AI system messes up a word and then corrects it, right? So that's just a little tip right there. The rest is just, we're following up every other day just to make sure, if they ever wanted to. Now, here's the tricky part. Let's say they reply. They're going to get removed from the system. And so we need a way to get them back into our follow-up. And so a couple ways you can do this. There is the manual way, which is anytime somebody replies, we have a system here that moves contacts into hot lead. And so anybody in the hot lead pipeline needs to be their messages need to be opened up and sent more messages. Okay, so that's the manual way to do it with high level. Whatever system you have, if it's been a few days since a contact has replied, if you have a way to get back in touch with them, that's what we're talking about here. And so for our clients, and the one I was just showing you in terms of their stats, what we have in place is this drip follow-up campaign here. So it's going to look a lot pretty advanced here, but essentially what happens is they're going to get added to this campaign over here, and we're going to basically do a couple operations that let us know, how many times have we messaged them. And so you can see here, we're updating the last follow-up attempt on this date, and then we're sending this message that says, hey, are you still with me? Contact first name. If they reply, they'll be removed from this follow-up. If they don't, they're going to continue on, and the next day they're going to get another message. Okay. If at any point they reply and stop messaging again, that contact gets re-added to this drip campaign. And depending on when the last time we messaged them and which message they got, they're going to go to the appropriate branch. And so if they already got this message and this message, they get removed. We're in a conversation with them and they stop replying again. They're going to get re-added this campaign in a day after they stop replying. And they're going to go down this new branch here, which is going to send a new custom message over here. Okay. And so I know this looks a little bit confusing, but the idea here is we need a system in order to re-engage leads that have fallen off our conversation. And so that's going to be really important to enhance those bookings and show ups. Last thing is personal elements. Okay. And so I'll show you one of the best questions that we ask leads. So I'll just head over here. And so one of the best things that we do is we actually start a conversation with prospects. Okay, so here's an example follow-up process. It says, hi there, Sophia from Oxygen Yoga and Fitness, North Whitby here. Is this Juliet? Did you sign up for our 14-day core restore program? They reply. At this point, they get removed from all our follow-up and our team replies here. And you'll notice here, within a minute, this message goes out. It says, amazing, if you don't mind me asking, what are your health and fitness goals at this time? Now, this is a very personal question because now, look at this. To get toned, I've been out of the game for so long, getting older, and it isn't helping my physique. We then say, thanks for sharing that with me. We can definitely help your goals. Would you prefer a hot yoga stretching class or more of a hot fitness-based class for your first visit? Now, this question is designed very perfectly. Okay, it's only giving them two options, yoga and stretching or hot fitness. Okay, two options only. We don't ever want to give more options than that. We've also just got them talking about some of the problems and highlighting that as a pain point. And so they're already kind of in the buying mindset. We then say, would you prefer an evening or morning class? Okay. Two options as well. Anything after 4 p.m. You'll notice that the times here, responding within a minute. Anything after 4 within a minute, we say, gotcha. Does Monday at this time or Tuesday at these times? Okay. So we're giving basically two options and 2 different days. So we're saying Monday, 2 times, relatively similar and close in time. And then Tuesday, similar situation here. Okay. Very structured and designed question here. Okay, earlier the better, 5:30. Okay, and then we book them for the 5:30 time, and then they're in our reminders. They're on the 14-day trial. Looking to see you tomorrow. Hi, my mom changed her flight till Tuesday, as I'd like to. Okay, so we basically rebook them then, and so you can see here, the process goes on and on and on. Now they're rebooked for the 6:15 class, and today they're going to get an appointment reminder in their email. So on and so forth. So you can see the process here and how it actually operates. And so speed to lead is very important, making sure that these messages are personalized. And in some of the actual appointment reminders, what some of our clients do is they'll actually send a photograph of, somebody on the team that's going to be meeting with them, a little bit more of the process behind it. And in some cases, we'll get them to fill out an entire waiver on the appointment reminders, which just enhances the quality even further for when they show up to the appointment. Okay, number 3, the one thing that we did to double bookings and show ups. And so this is very simple. We actually just looked at our appointments and we realized that people did not want to go to one-on-one appointments and sit down with somebody because they had been through that process before, and nobody really likes to be in a sales situation. And so rather than going through that process, we just simply removed the one-on-one appointment and started booking people directly into classes. Okay. And so since doing this, we basically just changed our format of our questions. And so rather than trying to book people into an appointment where we say, it's just an intro, it's a tour, so-and-so, we just said, hey, what class would you like to come out to try for your trial? Okay. And that's it. That one change made such a drastic difference that now we have booking rates up past the 50s and show up rates in the 90s. And it's made a hell of a difference. And so one thing I would recommend doing is try changing the formatting of your booking. So rather than one-on-ones, try a phone call. We have some clients that do phone calls before. It helps filter them. They spend a lot less time with dud leads in the studio, and it allows for them to, go through that process over the phone rather than in person. Okay. The other thing that I would recommend trying is try booking people directly into your classes. People just want to try your facility, and if they love it, they're going to stay. And so my philosophy behind it is, if you believe your service is above all else's, get people in, give them a taste of it, and they'll never want to leave. No need to sit them down for one-on-one appointments. Get them into your classes, and your classes will sell themselves. Once you put these 3 fixes in place, I promise you, you're going to see a massive difference in your bookings and your show-up rates. First, optimize for lead quality. Make sure you put in the proper systems to actually filter, to allow Facebook to find the right quality prospects for your fitness studio. Next, make sure you have a follow-up process in place that is going to actually guide people into booking an appointment and showing up for your studio. Make sure it's personalized, and make sure you are following up within 1 minute if possible. It's going to make a massive difference to your conversions just by adding those 2 subtle elements. And number 3, try to change the style of booking that you're doing. If you're currently doing bookings onto one-on-one appointments, try booking people directly into classes. When we did this, we saw a massive growth in our bookings and a massive growth in our show-up rates. And so that's it. If you got value from this video, please leave it a like. And if you're looking for more content on how to grow your studio, click subscribe so you can see more videos when I release them. And if you're looking for some more hands-on approach and a more personalized touch to help with your fitness studio, you can head over to untapped-revenue.com and book a free strategy session.